I'm sorry, even Batman v Superman, which I don't, I have some bits that I like about it. I have some issues with it, especially its treatment of Superman. It still has merits to it, where I'm like, at least it had balls, at least it swung for the fences, at least it tried something different. Like, so I respect aspects of it, and people weren't even they were going on like it was Batman and Robin, and it wasn't.
Look, Nerman, I over Civil War, I'll give BVS his credit for this. It is better visually. The cinematography is way better.
Score's good.
Score is good. Score is better than Civil War.
Good.
I'm gonna head out, guys. Thanks for having me.
The action's okay between both those films.
Peace out.
They both have peace on.
Peace.
They both have one like epic action scene, and then the rest of the action in the movies are like,
no, the action scene, even the one with Doomsday, where I don't like how Doomsday looks. That action scene's tight.
That one should have been the most epic, but that was epic because of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was the best thing about that scene.
So,
but that's my issue with the scene. It's supposed to be a collective, Trinity scene where they both.
Superman did what he would have done. The only thing I don't like.
My issue with the Doomsday fight is just like the Black Adam fight with Sabak. That shit was too fucking short. That shit was short.
Watch that. Just put.
It's not a bad fight. Don't get me. It's not a bad fight. That fight is short.
Fight, bro. That is a tight ass fight. And honestly, I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I think that looked really like. And then the Batmobile chase. I know he's killing people. But it is.
It was a nice, well directed action scene. But see, that's the thing. The Batman scenes in BVS is probably the best action scenes in the movie. The warehouse scene is not the most grand, but it's the best action scene in the movie.
And also, it is an interesting idea. Like, how would the world react if Superman came into the world? So that aspect of the story I enjoyed. I just didn't like how Superman was responding to it.
Yeah.
So when they were all talking about the implications of Superman and all of that kind of stuff, I thought that was interesting. So I don't think that movie is. Batman.
It had an interesting concept.
It was worse. It was as bad as Batman and Robin, and I'm like,
It's not Batman and Robin bad. It's not that bad. It's better than Captain Marvel. It's better than the worst MCU. It's better than some of the good ones. But like for a DC movie in general, I don't even got it up there with V for Vendetta or even Watchmen. It's not even on Watchmen level.
It's not on V for Vendetta level. No, absolutely not.
It is not sniffing. It's not even sniffing 300's ass, and that's a comic book movie, and I like it.
It's better than 300. It's better than 300.
Hater.
I would watch that over 300. I mean, it's medium. And the only things that really make it medium for me are more like fanboy things. It's more like, I'm not really sure about your Lex Luthor. I'm not really sure about how you're portraying Superman. It's not actually the story itself. It's like
I never really went into Nerdman, but I think my other issue with Batman in the movie is how his intelligence is portrayed as a Batman. Because one thing I for sure get in BVS is what he was trying to go for with Batman. Batman's at fallen, he's lost his way, and he's stuck in a dark place. And, this film is going to show how he's going to get back to his old self, right?
Yeah.
What I hated about Batman in BVS is that, yes, if Batman's going to stick to doing something, for example, if he's not going to kill his villains, he's going to be very consistent about that for the most part. A lot of people won't agree with what his methods, but he's going to be consistent. If Batman's going to kill, he's going to consistently kill. But that's not the issue with it. When Lex was trying to frame Superman throughout the movie, which I thought was okay, the stuff he framed Superman with, I was like, okay. But Batman himself would have investigated that stuff and even realized himself, like, Superman didn't burn these bodies. There's bullets in here. These people died and then they were set on fire. These people were shot first and then they were set on fire. Like
He was all secondhand reports and he was just taking it as Bible, and that doesn't seem very Batman.
Right, and that was my issue. I was like, dude, I get it. You don't like Superman, but even if Batman doesn't like somebody, he doesn't like Joker, but he's gonna do proper investigation to figure out if Joker committed this specific crime. Like, I get it. You don't like what Superman did, and you're afraid of what he could be. But why would you do proper detective work with Joker, but not the guy who literally fought an alien that tried to destroy your planet? Right. I get it. He lost his way, but
I thought it was so forced that they were trying to get Batman and Superman against each other. It made no sense. And to me, that's the failure of the movie. It's not that it's not entertaining to watch. It's just,
it does have its entertaining part.
I don't buy it. Like, I don't buy that Batman is against Superman or Superman against Batman. And everything like around that, I'm okay with. It's I mean it's
well, yeah, and that thing too. Like Superman wasn't invested in fighting Batman. Like Superman was not invested.
Shazam movie, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, Billy Batson doesn't, act like Shazam, and I'm like, okay, but they're two entertaining characters, so I don't really, could it have been done better if they were? Yeah, but the rest of the Shazam family act like their younger selves. So,
let's see. Okay, let me get the big man's comment real quick. Okay,
hold something the film too much sometimes. I'm like, films aren't meant to be flawless,
Right. But see, let me get the Vish Hands comment because I want to. In the Batman with Robert Pattinson, right? Riddler, for the most part, executed his plan and pretty much won. Now, Batman won the people's favor, right? That's what he wanted at the end of it. He won the people's favor. He won their respect by pushing as hard as he did to stick there with him, help them out. He's carrying people to the helicopters they can get hoisted up. A younger Batman, that totally makes sense why Riddler like totally duped him. He's 2 years in, he's fresh.
I have to become more. People need hope.
A 20-year Batman, at this point, I get it. He lost his way, but even Batman is still going to have a consistency. He's going to still do his detective work. He's still going to look into things. Like, I guarantee it, the first scene in the movie, when Batman was trying to figure out where those human traffickers was at, who was trafficking those women, I guarantee he did investigation work to figure out where those women was at, what's the start of this trafficking ring, and still locked this person up. He branded him, which is fine. I understand it's part of him going down this road.
But that branding bothered me. That was too big.
It bothered me too. But the point is, I guarantee Batman did investigative work to figure out where the human traffickers was at, freed those girls, all that. But a 20-year Batman should be like a peak detective. Robert Pattinson Batman being, kind of iffy with his detective work in year 2, I totally understand. You're still fresh into it. You're not going to be perfect. The 20-year Batman should be like, boom. Because Lex easily duped him. I'm sorry. Lex easily duped Batman in BVS, and Batman didn't even really try to figure out, like, that he was being played. He did not know he was being played the whole time. Superman had to tell him he was being played by Lex.
Well, okay. I mean, that aside, I'm not trying to minimize that, but what I'll say is that to me, it went beyond that.
I feel
like the movie could have had conflict between Superman and Batman. I understood all of the conflict in it. I just didn't understand why they ended up fighting each other. That's when it got to that bit, because I could understand him being like paranoid about Superman and da 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 da. Like the whole way through the movie, I got it. But as soon as he stepped in an arena to fight Superman, that's when it lost me. Because I feel like that was forced. Whereas the rest of it, I'm like, okay, he's dealing with an alien that he's never seen before. Batman is like kind of,
xenophobic.
No, he's not xenophobic. I think he's cautionary. He's like he's somebody.
Well, remember in the first episode of Justice Animated, and I'm just using that for example, but he did this in the World's Finest crossover they did. Remember when he was very skeptical about John Jones, Marsh Manor? He was like he didn't really trust him.
Yeah, what was the word I was looking for? Yeah, go.
Like he was very hesitant. And
perhaps this will help. I am John Jones.
Don't take it personally, Sean. He doesn't trust anyone.
A wise policy.
I think it was a little bit of like, not say he hated aliens, but it felt like it was a little bit of like, okay, you like Superman. Why are you tripping about this alien here? It's an alien too, right? But Superman looks like a human. So everyone's going to identify with him a little bit more than Martian Manhunter, who looks like some freak of nature from another planet, right? But he still him and Martian Manhunter, they started to become more friends over time. But when he first met him, he was very cautionary. It's like a little bit of fear of Manhunter inside of Batman when he saw him.
I feel like this is really how I feel like they should have just skipped that fight. If they had skipped the fight, I would have understood almost all of this version of Batman's behavior.
Yeah.
Like, they could have just skipped the fight and just saved that for a different film.
Agreed. Like, and this is the thing, because the concept that the Batman they use, like, this is heavily based off Dark Knight Returns Batman.
Yeah.
That's not the Batman you use at this moment. I understand. I'm not trying to say it need to be fully comic accurate, where the Justice League fell apart and stuff. Like, you could have had this at some point in a DC universe. I'm not saying you can't, but not this soon, because you're working backwards, not forwards with this type of arc. You can't do Death of Superman when Superman is at like year 2. That's not when that story happened. It happens like later down the line. It doesn't have to be year 10 or 11 when he's Superman, but it doesn't happen when he's in year 2.
Did you? I've told you about this already, I think, but the original plan was to have that dude who gets his legs cut off become Metallo. That would have been perfect. That would have been absolutely perfect.
Because you would have perfect setup. He'll blame Superman for all the destruction, and he's trying to get revenge on him. He lost his legs due to the violence.
And then basically, Lex Luthor uses Kryptonian technology to turn him into, that thing. So he's too advanced for Batman to fight, and he's got kryptonite, so he's fucking up Superman. And then Wonder Woman comes in last minute, slashes him up, and then we call it a day. Trinity kind of.
Well, okay. I think with that concept, take out Wonder Woman. You could just absolutely have just be Batman and Superman, and they both could have fought Metallo in a way, because Superman can't physically, combat kryptonite too much. It weakens him. But where Superman can't take the jabs, Batman can come in and go boom. Because Metallo, he's powerful, but he's only powerful against Superman because of kryptonite. He's really not like Omega level, like Brainiac.
Batman can't just knock him out.
I'm not saying Batman can knock him out, but Batman could wear a super suit like he had in the movie, a mech suit, to combat him too. But kryptonite doesn't weaken Batman. Like, they both could have tag teamed it in a way. Superman and Batman tag teaming Metallo, and it still be like a World's Finest movie.
Sure, I still think you could have.
Because if you bring in Wonder Woman, she's gonna straight up like murder. That's overkill at that point. That's like overkill. You got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman fighting Metallic.
That's why they brought Doomsday, because they couldn't figure out how to get Metallo to
fight Wonder Woman.
Because it's like Wonder Woman's just gonna slash him up. There's nothing. Either you nerf Wonder Woman to the point that she's just trash, or you know. But I still think it could have been like a real last minute thing, not like how much of like Batman and Superman have basically defeated him, but then he gets one more like burst of whatever and comes after them, and Wonder Woman just comes in and just like finishes him off. I really think that could have worked, just to set up the Trinity, just to give people a taster of Wonder Woman, not like her being all up there in the battle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But Nerman, real quick, because while I like this, I don't think this is one of the best fights. I like the fight. I think it's choreographed in an interesting way. My issue with this fight, and I do agree with you, Superman does not really have any drive, or we know he does not want to come here to fight Batman, like really fight him. In the Dark Knight Returns, right? Superman was invested to fight Batman because Superman at that point was a government lapdog. He was following the government's orders, and he was just strict. He invested himself into it, agreed with the government's ways, and was like, Batman is doing wrong, and I'm going to go out there and stop him from doing it. He had a huge investment to that fight. This fight here, he really didn't want to fight Batman, and he instigates the fight too. Like, he literally instigates it some more when he could have just literally took his pinky, shoved Batman on the ground, and forced him to listen.
The problem with this fight as well, it's not Batman v Superman. It's Superman essentially just taking it easy on Batman. And to be honest, it's a problem that I have with most Batman Superman fights, even in the comics. I'm like, I never really see Superman going full on like against Batman. So it's like, it's not like Batman's really winning. Even in the supposed Batman, the Dark Knight Returns, Superman's really taking it easy on Batman, even in that fight.
In my opinion, I think this is this is based off New 52 stuff, but this is probably the best Superman versus Batman encounter I've seen, because this is how the fight should always go. Superman's straight up making Batman look like a joke. Like, this is how I wanted BVS to go. Superman just basically making Batman not making cucking Batman, but showing like, hey, Batman can't deal with me. They was legitimately freaking scared of Superman. Look at them. They can't deal with him. They was running scared in BVS. I get it. Yeah, kryptonite.
I think that, to me, I like the idea of Batman taking on Superman and being able to win. I just want them to do it in a really cool way. Like, one of the best ways I saw was actually, it was actually in Injustice, the animated movie, where he takes on Superman, and he makes a plan where the atom goes in Superman's ear with kryptonite.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that scene.
That was clever. That's like, I want him to have like some kind of plans like that, not just come up to Superman like straight up. Like, when I first heard the idea of Batman v Superman, I figured what Zack Snyder was going to do is not have him in some mech suit. I thought he was going to create like a whole big trap for Superman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Superman comes in and he's like, it's like a big kind of maze that he has to go through to get to Batman even. And Batman's just constantly, so that's what I want to see of a Batman versus Superman fight. There's other ones, I can't really remember them now, but like, there's been other times when I've seen that somebody's really got Batman to do something clever, something a little bit out of the box. chance to beat Superman, and I don't mind that.
But and I think in this fight, while I think it looks cool, it's just two things happened in the scene to where Superman instigating the fight, which was weird. Yes, I understand he's in the moment. He's trying to look for his mom, but like, he's trying to come in here, take this peaceful route to talk, and then he immediately uses violence to try and make Batman see reason, but that you're just gonna piss him off even more. So you're trying to get him you're trying to reason with him, but you're literally threatening him while trying to reason.
Didn't make any sense.
And then in this fight where I think you downplay Superman a bit, this scene right here where he just stands there and holds the kryptonite grenade for like a couple seconds, and like he literally just let himself get gassed. Like, I get it. He's OP. He's like, oh, I'm gonna just take it. But like, come on, you don't have to downplay his ability. That's why I think the Justice League War encounter, and I don't disagree with you. I think your way of Batman doing something like getting the Atom to go in his ear, put kryptonite in there to, trip him up. Great. That's what Batman would do, right? But I don't know. It was just so much wrong with the setup of this fight. It's not a bad choreographed fight at all, guys. I think this fight visually looks better than the airport fight in Civil War, right? I think the final fight between Tony and Cap was way more intense than this fight here because of what's going on. There are reasons for fighting. Tony's invested the fight because Bucky killed my mom.
Tony.
Right, he doesn't care. He just wants to kill him. Like, you killed my mom, I'm taking you down. Mm-hmm. And Cap's trying to keep Tony from killing his friend. He doesn't want them both to fight, but he's like stuck between a rock and a hard place. Their fight, the build up, the investment to it, yeah. And you guys know, I think both BVS and Civil War got their fair share of issues. They do have their fair share of issues. A lot of issues Civil War has, people will be biased about with BVS and downplay BVS for it.
No,
but even BVS
issues, bro. I don't.
No, I don't disagree with it. It does have issues, but what I'm saying is the issue Civil War has, like, prime example, right? I think Zemo is better than Lex Luthor in general when it comes to his plan, but I have issues with how Zemo's plan is because it's very like coincidental that this thing happened. Like, his plan is very much by coincidence and not by
better than Lex Luthor's. Factually, it's as bad. It has just as many plot holes.
And I think both of their plans are just shitty and dumb. Like, you're okay with Lex's plan. So you shoot people with guns, then you burn them alive. And if people who do forensics work and stuff can see that there's bullet holes and stuff in bullets inside this person, okay, they were shot first and then burned. They didn't die due to the fire. They died due to being shot. And they're trying to tie that to Superman. Superman doesn't use guns. So why would you think Superman killed those people? It's stuff like that where I'm like, all right, Lex, that's not really good.
Look, I'll tell you the biggest problem with Civil War for me is the complete character, just unbelievable character turn of Iron Man. And they try and establish it through some bullshit. Like, what was it? Scarlet Witch, she has a bomb that would have gone off in the ground and killed people. But she tried to fly it up in the air and it killed people. And I know you're guilty. But
well, I always thought
in the ground, if it didn't go off, as she was flying it up to the top, right? So everyone could have been like, yeah, I know you're feeling guilty about that, but like, if you didn't do that, the bomb would have gone off on the ground.
Yeah.
And more people probably would have died. So I
But
can't see how her teammates bought into that. And then you add on top of that, no, Iron Man, you're the war criminal. You don't get to tell the Avengers to sign accords to give away. No, you're the one who made Ultron. You're the one who made him like that did that without any oversight, without going to like the government going, "Hey, I'm building this AI system." Can you imagine? Look how tight the regulations are. And I know you're not supposed to, compare the real world to this fantastical world or whatever. But look how tight the oversights are, even on basic AI. For him to build an AI system that essentially went on its own and, was going to destroy the whole world, turn Sarkovia into into a basic asteroid and kill the whole world. For somebody to have created that thing, that person would be in jail. There's there's nothing within the logic of the MCU that tells me that wouldn't have been a serious crime.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
So how, like, I don't understand why this guy is like doing this sudden 180 when he's the guy who always doesn't give
that actual, yeah. And I don't disagree with you on that, because look, I can understand Tony. First off, when he starts out, very obnoxious, douchey dude. Even through his arc, I still think his obnoxious, douchey stuff still remained, right? But you can see he's trying to go down his path of still being better while still being very flawed. And then you get to Civil War, right? It's just Age of Ultron. He does all the stuff Ultron. Kind of gets off scot-free for the most part. Civil War comes. And he tries to project what he thinks onto his friends, that, like Captain America. Captain America did not do anything close to what Tony has ever done.
Yeah.
Damaging, killing a lot of people. And that's where my issue was, because, like, dude, I get where you're coming from. But for one, Tony, in my opinion, even in the Civil War comic, I thought this was weird too. Tony is not going to be no fucking government lapdog. For one, he wouldn't. Like, with the way he acts, I cannot see him being a government lapdog. I can't see Captain America being a government lapdog either, because even though he fights for America, he doesn't agree with all the bad American ideals. He fights for the ideals that America wants to be and not what it actually is. So he's not going to agree with heroes having to force their identities to be known, which can jeopardize them in their pursuit of trying to protect people. But Tony being a government lapdog, that never sat right with me, because it didn't even seem right. It was not in his character. You can't be that type of person, be like, yeah, the government, you can use my Iron Man suits. Yeah, use my nukes. Use them. Yeah, I'll share all my stuff with you. My address is here, because we saw what happened last time when he shared his address.
What's worse is he knew Hydra was in there. He knew Hydra was part of the government now, or at least Captain America did, didn't he? One of them knew Hydra was part of the government.
They all knew, because in Winter Soldier, once Black Widow put that USB on the internet, she revealed all of Hydra's secrets and stuff. Right. So everyone knew that Hydra was in the government.
That whole film didn't make sense. That was the beginning of the bullshit I saw in the MCU, which I was telling people from back then. And you joined me on Infinity War, where I was like, none of this connectivity makes sense.
Yeah,
they're going back on much shit.
For me, it wasn't really Civil War. It was really Infinity War that really boom. Because Civil War, I think Civil War is better than Infinity War and Endgame. As a
As a movie, yeah, it is.
As a movie, and even in an ensemble movie with the Avengers and stuff, yes, they're fighting. But Civil War to me was a way better movie with the Avengers than Infinity War and Endgame, because
Although I didn't like that Avengers fight either. I thought that Avengers fight was stupid. It's like they're not even really trying to hurt each other. They're just having like a little
that airport fight
match. They're making jokes. They're destroying an airport. I'm like, wait a second. Aren't you the people who just said that superheroes need oversight? So why are you going into an airport and just fucking it up over? You're not even trying to save anyone. You know, if you were trying to save people and you're...
We haven't met yet. I'm Clint.
I don't care.
destroying the airport, fine. But you're not trying to save anyone. You're just trying to stop Captain America, kind of. You know, I just thought the whole thing was preposterous. I think people are just like, oh, it's action, it's spectacle. Let me switch my brain. It's like what Jaded says, you know, although he takes it way too far. But I can accept that if you don't go and criticize BVS for the exact same things.
Right. Because that's the thing, right? While I do agree one film executes some things better than the other, they both have issues. Because at the end of the day, it's all about execution, right? BVS can work, but it just matters what context you put in. Like, let's say BVS was a one-off movie that's not connected to nothing. That's the first time we see Henry Cavill Superman and Ben Affleck's Batman. It's just a one-off random DC movie like V for Vendetta. At that point, you have to look at it in a different light, right? Because it's a total Elseworld story. It's going for the Elseworld thing. It's not trying to be the traditional connected DC universe route. So you got to look at it in a different light. I look at that movie in a totally different light. But the fact that it's coming off of Man of Steel and then leading into something else, like, but that was a one-off movie, totally different look. You know, not saying it had to be, but totally different look of how we would watch that movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you all for watching. Shouts out to Brel. Many people in chat for showing up. Goes for that peace, love, positivity, all that jazz. Don't do drugs. Like I always say, everybody. Deuces.
What did you do? What did you do?